Poke the Bear is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
And welcome into Poke the Bear, episode 283, presented by Prize Picks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $50 back when you play just $5. And are presented by Game Time. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. I'm Evan Marinofsky. That is Conor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Bruins get a win on Tuesday night, beat the Red Wings. Now they actually play Wednesday night again against Chicago. Nice little back-to-back.
Schedule's all messed up. It's like it's always weird coming off of Thanksgiving where that week already like melts your brain in terms of what day is which, and now you got 3 and 4. Got another matinee game on Saturday. It's all messed up.
It's too much to track. Make the schedule normal. And by the way, the Bruins have games on everybody. They're at 28 games played? 27.
27
at the time of recording, because we're recording this before Wednesday's game against the Blackhawks, which should be a win. Should be a win. Lord knows. Who knows what happens out there. But Detroit, they take down Detroit 3-2 in OT. By the way, before we get into the game, one thing I noticed, you were at the game, I was not. I did see that Ryan Johnston pick of you and Ty, which you should watch your back. Like, Ty might be trying to kill you.
Hey, listen, that doesn't shock me at this point. Like, it's not a confirmation or anything. It's just validating what I've thought for years now. So, no surprises here, Evan.
See, Ty might be after you, but I think he legitimately wants to kill me. So I think that's like you and I both are.
Well, you got a lot of people on your list. You got him. You got Jose Canseco.
That's
like
right.
You gotta. Keep your head on a swivel. Next time you're at a local rink, you see Jose Canseco coming at you.
It's no match for parents that want to come up
him.
and talk. No match for the parents that want to come up and give their 2 cents on anything. That's where like I need security. Like, please, enough.
You're just trying to relax.
I love the parents. We love parents. I'm just kidding.
You're trying to chill at like the 99 at Marlboro and just Jose Canseco's your waiter. Just bashes you over the head with.
You want the fried chicken? I'll give you the fried chicken. Lucky me. One thing I did have though, obviously a lot of people are angry that it was on ESPN Plus and Hulu only. I get that. Streaming's annoying. We all agree. Like I'm with you there. It's annoying. Like when games are on Peacock for other sports, or like I have Netflix and I have Max, and that's it. That's like as far as I'm going. I have Amazon Prime too, because my parents have it. But like that's what I got. And ESPN Plus actually too. So I got a lot. Actually,
how many more do you got, Evan? Jesus, dude.
Jeez, it's never ending.
Corncob TV.
The product was good. Like even though it was just on ESPN Plus, which I'm not just saying it's just on ESPN Plus, but it wasn't on regular ESPN. Announcers were good. The camera quality was great. The sound was great. ESPN has the sound down. TNT makes it sound like you're in a library. ESPN, a lot of people rag on ESPN's, intermission show and stuff like that, which I get, pregame stuff, but they have the technical stuff down, Pat. Because like that Sacco goal and OT, you could hear the place go nuts. And just the quality of the broadcast and the camera, like a lot of people have mentioned, and I agree, like when I watch on Nessun, cameras look old. Like it doesn't look great. And it was nice to watch the game. It felt like without the filter, like, I don't know. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind what ESPN did.
Yeah. It's almost like you wish that TNT and ESPN like melded together in terms of like, cause I think like TNT's got like the pregame show and all like the intermission stuff. I think that that's their wheelhouse. Just seen that with like Inside the NBA and how good they are with those kinds of things. But yeah, like I know that has been a thing they've mentioned about TNT is like the audio being off, because they had the Black Friday game, right?
They did.
And I know a lot of people were complaining about that, and it wasn't the most rocking crowd when you're losing to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think that makes sense, but it wasn't like a library in there. I feel like even like the Bruins playoff games on ESPN last year, like I thought the game 7 against Toronto, you really got like the energy, the crowd off of that. I mean, it was a great call on like Pasternak's goal. I think even
you couldn't even hear McDonough. The place went so nuts.
Even like the Panthers here, I think that was Bob Wischusen, right? I think I think he had really good calls in that one too, of like elevating to the playoffs. So yeah, it's almost like you need like little bit of both. Both networks, I think they're still navigating where they are in terms of getting the NHL rights, and it's been a couple of years. It's not like they need to keep on finding out what works, but
it's been 3 years now, right?
I think so. Tweaking things just a little bit, right, in terms of getting it to where it was, because kind of the same with like NBC. NBC took a few years, and then I feel like now everyone looks back at NBC fondly. When I'm sure back in the day, people were like complaining about how they were, but do miss Doc Emmerich though. It doesn't feel right, like playoff runs without Doc calling games, right?
It doesn't. And like when Doc would do Wednesday night rivalry, which like the games were never rivalries. It was, like Sabres and Red Wings when they were in the West. It just it'd be like random matchups, but like he made it feel like such a big game. It's funny because like the generation before us and before them, I feel like it was like Bob Cole up in Canada. Like he was the big game announcer. For us, it was Gary Thorne. Yeah. Gary Thorne was a huge one. Forgot him, but like Doc, just the voice and the elevating, and even in a regular season mid-January game, he was just outstanding. So yeah, I miss Doc. I miss Doc on the games. But Bruins won a sloppy one. Wasn't pretty. Had to come back there in the third, but they get it done. 3-2 OT win. What'd you think?
I mean, I think that's going to be kind of the template for this team, right? Is that a lot of these games aren't really going to be pretty. It's going to be a lot of swimming against the tide for a lot of these games. But you look at what they did, like the lack of finish is what's killing this team, right? That's why they haven't really had, even in these wins, you don't come out of it being like, this team's cruising, ready to take off. Like they don't have the benefit of the doubt, right? In terms of where they are or what they're trying to build off of under Joe Sacco, but did enough to get a win. And I think if you're following the template of what the Bruins are doing now, where, I mean, they only generated 2 high danger chances at 5-on-5, but Detroit also generated 5 the same stretch. So you're limiting chances. I think the Bruins had a 40-14 edge in hits, which can be a kind of a wonky stat, right? That sometimes means that also you're not holding on to the puck. Like, but I think what we've mentioned before, Evan, like how the Bruins have shifted under Sacco, at least I think there's starting to be more of an identity of like, you're knowing what to expect in these games. Like before under like Montgomery, when things just weren't going right and it felt like they didn't have an identity, it'd be like, all right, they won that a pretty close game. Like it's feeling, you're turning in the right direction, and they lose a back and forth game 6-4. Whereas now it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be like, they're going to win 6 in a row now. But it feels like if they're playing to their skill set and their identity, it's going to be a lot of these 3-2, 2-1 low-scoring games. And I think if you're the Bruins and you're trying to get into that routine of playing to those capabilities, playing to that identity, you're going to at least be in more of these games. And I think that if we're looking for a silver lining, is a step in the right direction. So Tuesday's game wasn't pretty, but got the job done, got 2 points out of it.
Well, I think that's what we're going to say a lot over the next couple months is like these games are not going to be pretty. And it goes back to what we said a lot in the first month. Like this roster is not one where you're going to be skilled. Like to me, I think the Red Wings, if they can ever right that ship, if they can ever get right, they've got so much skill. I mean, they are way more skilled than you on that roster. I mean, Lucas Raymond, Mo Seider. I mean, they got guys who are high-end guys who, if they can put it together, that team's going to be good. Yeah. But again, like you need the goaltending, you need a lot of things, and coaches on the hot seat. So we'll see what happens with them. But I agree with you. I think they're playing more to what this roster is. Physical. I mean, you see it with the number of shots they're taking. They're taking way more shots, it feels like. Again, like I loved Mason Lowry on that power play goal of Brazeau's. Like, get the puck off the draw, move to your right a little bit, get a lane, shoot that thing. Like, Brazeau's in front, at least you get a rebound, at least you just get it through. Like, that's the mindset they've got to have. And I think that's been an encouraging thing. And obviously, yes, they're not finishing well. The 5-on-5 offense is still not there. I know they have 2 6-goal wins. I think both those games, so the 6th was an empty netter. So 5-goal wins. Yeah. And Pasternak that's a whole nother thing. I mean, he just doesn't look right. Nice play on the OT winner. Like, I think that's, a great thing. But I think for the majority of that game, he gets the puck in those areas and it's hesitating. The puck's hopping over his stick. I don't know what's going on with that. It's like that clip. Have you seen that compilation of Trump being like, "We need to figure out what's going on. Like,
Yes.
there's something wrong. There's a problem." Like it feels like that's Pasternak right now, where there is like, I don't know what it is, but there's something there.
Yeah, and even like the setup on Zacha's goal, I was losing my mind. Like the split, I wish there was a camera on me when that play was happening, because like when he passes it back to Zacha, I was like, "What in the okay?" Like, because I thought he was going to just rip it there. Like if there was an opportunity to fire the puck in, I thought it was there. Again, David Pasternak is much better at everything involving hockey than yours truly, so he saw the right play there. But that was one where I thought, like, oh my god, if like Zacha shoots high or shoots wide of the net,
just misses it.
Yeah, exactly. It was going to be absolutely brutal. But at the very least, he's getting some assists, which it feels like him and Zacha are starting to round the corner a little bit. I think Zacha's finishing more plays, so another step in the right direction. But yeah, this team, especially again, where it's going to be a lot of these probably low event games, just think of where this team would be if Pasternak just goes on a heater. Like, especially with the way the schedule is now, or even like the schedule being light, but when you start going on the West Coast and playing some of these teams like Vancouver and the Oilers and even Winnipeg. I know Winnipeg has cooled off quite a bit, but still, like, if there's ever a stretch where we need Pasternak to take off, it's the next couple of weeks when it is going to be a little bit of a tougher road, and you're not going to have Detroit and Pittsburgh and where that get you, but Detroit and Pittsburgh and Chicago and all these guys. So you desperately need Pasternak to go on a run at some point here. Just give you a little bit more breathing room. That's the one thing this team does not have with their scoring. You'll take the 6-goal outburst, but that's not sustainable. And it's going to be a lot more of these kind of hoping for a high shot volume, rebounds, tips, and all that stuff. And it's a good formula when you look at the personnel they have, but man, they need a 2-goal or, a 4-goal week from Pasternak at some point here.
I think it's also like Elias Lindholm too. Like, you're not getting the offense you expected, that you paid for out of Lindholm yet. So it's like, the offensive generation there hasn't been great either with him and Marchand. Someone did step up offensively on Tuesday and I think it's a sign of him sort of settling in here. We'll get to him in a second. But first, Prize Picks. Connor, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And Prize Picks, they love you. They put you first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So when my picks hit, I get my money in as quick as 15 minutes, which, you know what, I will gladly take. I will take my winnings when I get them. With hockey, again, we always say with the Bruins, it's tough to tell. Are they going to score 6 goals one night? Are they going to score 0? That's up to you. But there's a lot else. There's the Bruins. There's the rest of the NHL. There's a lot of NBA stuff. Obviously, NFL Sundays are a huge day. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus because it's guaranteed. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Nikita Zadorov with a bomb. I mean, a missile from the point. Great play by Marchand, by the way. Nice patience. Yeah. Vintage Marchand. Kind of climbing the zone, nice pass, all that stuff. But I think it's sort of emblematic of, and I know Zadorov took a couple penalties again, which we harp on all the time. We do on Tuesday night, but haven't noticed him making as many mistakes as much. There was that unforced icing at the end of Tuesday's game where you're like, oh my God, dude, like seriously. But I still think overall defensive zone coverages, things like that, I do think he has made some strides there.
Yeah, I think he's been probably one of the better players, I think, since the coaching change. And whether that's the fact that I think the Bruins are kind of sticking to an identity now. And I think whereas I think he was kind of in that no man's land of what he needed to be early on. And there's going to be some bumps and growing pains for any player. But I think for him, it took a little bit of time. And again, it's not perfect. As you said, takes a lot of penalties. Is not a big fan of Lucas Raymond. I think we saw that based on all he was talking about after the game, was not happy that he was shaking his glove after that slash. He does not like Raymond because he got that 2-game suspension last year for check to the head where Raymond got hit. Like, it was like shoulder to – it was a bad spot, but also Raymond fell like Willem Dafoe in Platoon. He was like –
He does.
Yeah,
he dives like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that Red Wings team. Ooh, that's, again, you want to talk about rebuilds? Imagine Bruins fans, you hit on some of those guys and you watch that team, the way they play and operate. Soft.
A lot of skill, but very soft. I mean, even DeBrincat on that overtime goal, like, just grabs the stick. And I didn't notice that at first. I was like, wow, they got away with one. And I still am surprised that, like, the officials didn't at least call it, because you'd think they might call that in today's game. But just grabbed the stick and fell. That was it.
So, again, for Bruins fans who want a full-blown rebuild, even when you hit on some guys like Seider and Raymond, you deal with that. Good luck. But anyway, I digress. But no, I feel like Zadorov has improved a little bit. He's, I think, finding more of where he needs to play, what he needs to do to be impactful in these games. And he's a guy, I think, I was talking to Ty Anderson about this after the game yesterday, where Ty mentions, like, I think he's also a guy that probably likes a little bit more of the simplified, kind of hard coaching. And I think he's kind of taken off from Joe Sacco and his approach, where it's very blunt in terms of the delivery. The message is simple. And he even said after the game of, like, what has changed since Joe Sacco's taken over. And he could have looked at, like, the D zone structure tightening up. He could look at the shot volume, but he said, quote, I think we're playing with passion. I think we're playing with pride. I think we're playing for each other. Thought we were disconnected before. That's what wasn't working. I don't think we fixed much X's and O's. I think it's the same system, same game plans. We're just doing it this time. So
we're just doing it. Yeah. But that says a lot about how they felt about the coach, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
so
disconnected, all that stuff.
Yeah. So again, like, I don't think he's going to be a perfect player. You're going to have to deal with the warts with a guy like him in terms of the penalties and sometimes getting out of play and what have you. Probably didn't help that, like, Montgomery was also like, he doesn't really know the systems. I was like, I feel like Zadorov didn't want to hear that.
Like, he's not really coachable.
Yeah. But no, I do think, especially with Hampus Lindholm out, you're going to need more from Zadorov moving forward. And I think even, like, the Zadorov-Carlo pairing has been pretty solid over these last couple of games. I think against Detroit, Bruins had a 15-5 edge in shots on goal when they were out there. They had a lot of ozone time as well, which is kind of not really the group you put out there for, like, I think they had like 88% ozone time or ozone stats.
That's insane. I didn't see that.
Yeah. But again, like, you're getting some traction with the group that, again, it's been kind of musical chairs when you look at that decor in terms of where guys have fit in where. So especially with Lindholm still out for weeks, I think putting Zadorov and Carlo together and rolling with them, you have a group that seems to be meshing right now when so much of this team, again, is swimming against the tide. Keep those guys intact and see how you can kind of build off of their game, because it does seem like Zadorov is, at least finding some more traction at this point of the season.
Yeah, and I think that, again, you need that from a guy like him. Another interesting guy that's, and again, he hasn't really been an issue at all this year, but Jonas Korpisalo. Nice game against Detroit, 23 saves on 25 shots. Had some highlight reel stops. I think that's one of the things. I feel like he's had a lot of highlight reel saves this year. Maybe that's a positioning thing, because that was always the case. People are always like, oh, Jim Thomas, the saves used to make. It was like, well, yeah, man, because the dude was like 20 feet out of his crease, or, that's why Tuukka Rask didn't have a ton of, crazy highlight reel saves, because when you're in position, you don't need to, you can make it look easy.
Right.
But I do think it is a step in the right direction that Korpisalo continues to be solid. I mean, he wasn't amazing against the Islanders last week, but I think you're getting more out of him than you probably thought you would.
Yeah, especially where I think we all were at the start of, I'm sure if you listen to the podcast from like June through September, we're like, this guy stinks. And again, like, the body of work in Ottawa is not great, but also look at what Linus Ullmark is doing in Ottawa right now is also an example. Maybe what's in front of him, or rather what's not, in terms of their defensive structure. But yeah, I think Korpisalo has become what I think the Bruins were hoping he'd be, which is a solid backup option. And he's making, I think, timely saves, which I think is critical. It's funny. I think, like, you look at a lot of his goals, it's like low danger, long range shots that beat him. Where you're like, but then he'll stop like 7 high danger shots as well. Like,
it's like Halak all over again.
Yeah, exactly. So for what he's provided this team, and again, we go back to the adage of, like, could he get more stats down the stretch here? If Swayman doesn't take off, I think it becomes a viable thing because Korpisalo at the very least is keeping him in these games. And when you look at again, it's not the ideal spot to put either your goalies in right now, where the margin for error is so slim. His team can't score, build leads, give themselves some breathing room. Korpisalo in particular has been up to the task there, and it's been huge for this team. That you look at him, you look at Kastelik. Returns have been pretty solid so far. I don't think you can make the full grade on an Olmark trade until a couple years down the road to see what Dean Letourneau does. But so far, like those are guys that on the NHL roster at least that are pulling their weight right now, which is encouraging.
And it's interesting because like when Kastelik came in, it was very much like, oh, he's inconsistent, this and that. He's not just been consistent; he's moved his way up in the lineup. He works with Coyle and Frederick. Like I still think he's a bottom 6 guy. I don't think you push him up into the top 6, obviously, but like you've gotten massive returns on him. You've gotten legitimate returns on Korpisalo. Letourneau, we won't know. Again, I can't stress this enough. I believe his numbers are pretty low at BC this year.
2
assists,
we said that in 12 games, but again.
This is going to be years. This is going to be 5-6 years before you can make a real grade on Dean Letourneau. Like, I'll be in my 30s when Dean Letourneau, when we can like safely make an adjustment. I'm 12 years old right now, so like again, it's going to be a long time. But if you want to go see these games, you want to go see BC, you want to go see the Bruins. Now's a pretty good time to go see the Bruins, by the way. Like, prices are not insane.
Yes.
And if you want to get the best prices, it's Game Time. You want to go to Game Time because, again, I say it all the time. Nothing like watching an NBA or an NHL game live. The energy in the building, the sounds on the ice, the court, the memories you make with family, friends, and other fans, it's unmatched. And the coolest part is when the people around you who you don't know become your best friends. Or maybe they're from the other team and you want to get mad at them. Go do that too. You can make these memories with Game Time. I was going to say punch him in the face, but don't do that.
I was going to say it was like the Bruins fan behind Raymond on that second goal.
Oh my God, that was incredible. I feel like that was instinct. Like he just kind of flipped it.
Yes.
And it was like after like, oh, why did I do that? Like I'm on national television. Like, it clearly got me doing that.
Guy works for like State Street. And he's like, oh God.
He doesn't have a job anymore. Like we have to make a petition to not cancel that guy. Like let him continue working.
Yeah.
But again, I assume 99.9% of people who go to the game are not going to do that. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. They make getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. No middle fingers. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. When I use Game Time, I love the flash deals. Again, prices for the Bruins right now are good, but I want to get even more discounts, and that's what flash deals provide. And again, the seat views are awesome. So it's like Game Time, instead of giving you the finger, they're giving you 2 thumbs up, which, I mean, can't say no to that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Connor, what time is it?
Game time.
It's game time. It's game time. That's what time it is. The Bane thing will never get old.
Yeah. It was kind of like that was like Macho Man Randy Savage mixed with Bane a little bit.
It's a good mix. It's a good mix.
Need a lozenge. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's you need the cough drop to sort of get the throat a little halt. It is that time of year where like cough drops are like replacing the gum in my back pocket. Like the Bruins turning a corner, 5-2. Like and it's funny because like the record, it's like that stretch where they were 4-1-1 under Montgomery, and it was like, oh, they're 4-1-1, and it's like they don't feel like that. 5-2, like I think they're turning a corner. They're better. They've improved. Like we've talked about this defensively, but like they're still like it's like you're halfway through a marathon, right? Like you're halfway through. You've got the first part down. You're good defensively. Your PK is better. Your power play is still a mess. Your 5-on-5 scoring is still a mess. You're a little inconsistent when it comes, or very inconsistent when it comes to scoring. I don't know. What do you think? Have they turned the corner?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trending in the right direction, which is at least a step forward, right? And I think you look at the underlying numbers, it's at least showing the signs of a team that is responding, I think, better to Sacco. I know Jay Fresh Hockey had something posted before Tuesday's game looking at like the difference month to month in terms of expected goal rate. Bruins in October were minus 0.16 goal differential.
Not good.
In month 2, they're 0.94, which I believe is actually the second highest grouping amongst teams in the Eastern Conference, or third overall in the Eastern Conference. So they're tightening up defensively, which is, again, a sustainable way to at least be in a lot of these games. And I think you're seeing them respond more to the shot volume of their generating chances. Now, you can look to like that Vancouver game, which is arguably their best game they played the entire year, where they did everything but score. And again,
Yes, I know.
and that is a thing where like you're going to have some of these games. I mean, how many times do we see it with like, hell, I remember during the Cassidy era where his approach would be high shot volume. They'd be games where they have like a 65% shot share, right? They're like dominating in shot attempts and they still get outscored 3-1, you know, in terms of the shot volume. Carolina Hurricanes, who that's their bread and butter in their approach, when they do lose, it's usually like, well, we have a 71-48 edge in shot attempts, but we still lose. Like,
Yep.
that is kind of the price you pay, but that is still, I think, for this team and this personnel, a more sustainable way of generating offense, of getting pucks on net, going for the rebounds, the tips, the second chance opportunities with the amount of big bodies you have down low. Rather do that than hold on to the puck, wait for the perfect opportunity when this team just doesn't have, I think, they don't have the horses for that. They don't have the personnel to finish those chances. So have they turned the corner? Are we getting ready for April hockey? I'm not going there yet, but I think that you're seeing this team at least play the way that they need to play in order to get going here. And I think it all comes down to the identity. Whereas I think the start of the year, they had so many games where you looked at them at the end of the game, you're like, what is this team? What are they trying to accomplish? I think they have the basic idea of what they want to do night in and night out. Doesn't always mean it's going to be the case. You're going to have lopsided losses here and there. You're going to have lopsided wins like the Islanders game, which I don't think a lot of us saw that coming. I don't think we predicted that going into
We did not.
our podcast before that episode. But I think if you adhere to that strategy, you're going to be in more of these games. And if your power play ticks up to, hell, 21st in the league, if David Pastrnak starts finishing more chances, you're going to give yourself a little bit more leeway as well. So it's not perfect. It's going to be kind of ugly, I think, as this team tries to, build a winning strategy, but it's a step in the right direction. And if they're a team that grinds teams down and can win 2-1 most nights, 3-2, that's a team that still has a shot. And again, I think that's what, if you're a Bruins fan, you're looking for any sort of positivity, that's a team that, if they play to that capabilities, could be a tough out. So that's kind of how you have to view these things. Not saying that they're back, not saying we're getting ready for a run, but they at least look more stable than what they were at the start of the year.
I think they're on the right track.
Yeah.
And I think they're headed in the right direction, whereas the first month they were a ship that was headed towards the iceberg.
Yeah.
I also, and this is going to sound crazy, to me, they're sort of like a Dunk's breakfast sandwich right now. They're not.
You better watch that.
I'm watching it. I'm watching every word I say very carefully. They're not gourmet. They're not flashy, but they get the job done. Most times they get the job done. Occasionally you'll have one where you're like, this really wasn't that great. But most of the time, which under Sacco, 5 out of 7 times, and even that Vancouver loss, they've done their job and they've gotten the job done. And it's, again, is the Dunk's breakfast sandwich the breakfast sandwich you're going to get at a high-end breakfast place in New York City? Probably not. You could argue it's better, but it gets the job done. And I think that's kind of where the Bruins are at right now. Did I just tank our chances at a Dunk sponsorship? I don't think
I don't think we were getting it anyway, but listen, I agree. And I also think Bruins fans have to set the right expectations or mindset. Maybe mindset is the best way to put it. Cause I think this team,
we did get people way too hyped up for this season.
Yeah.
Before our expectations were a little high. I still I think they've disappointed, obviously. I had higher hopes.
But no, I do think that in terms of setting maybe the expectations or mindset going into like the season where it starts ramping up now, past the quarter mark of the year. I think it all comes down to like this team. It should be better than what they have been. They should be a playoff team. Does that mean a wild card team or third in the Atlantic, what have you? Sure. And at that point, you roll with it and see what comes of it. Is there anything that I think I've taken away from this sport, from covering it, is that, and it's not probably what a lot of people want to hear, it's a crapshoot. As much as you look at the numbers, you can look at season-long trends, you look at all these things, from the Blues and what they did in 19 to the Bruins in 2022-23.
That was what did it for me.
To this past year, or the people who talk about the Bruins haven't won haven't beaten a tough team yet. True, and the Bruins went 4-0 against the Panthers and got dunked on in the playoffs once again last year. Like, again, even look at, like, I mentioned this, I'm not sure if it was on this podcast or talking to Ty, like, 2011 Bruins are revered as the quintessential, the team the Bruins aspired to be. That team got hot at the right time, and Tim Thomas was unbelievable, and so many guys stepped up, and they were physical and dominated teams. They weren't a riveting product for big stretches of that year. They were not. They were not a dynamic offensive team, could not score in the power play, but guys stepped up in October, or not in October, this is not baseball. Guys did not step up in October. They stepped up in April through June.
Thomas Caberlet was Mr. October.
Yes, exactly. But again, it's a crapshoot. The 2018 Capitals were the worst group out of that entire core, and they win the friggin' cup. Like, and again, that's not what people want to hear when, we cover hockey and our jobs involve looking at film and data and all these things, but it's hockey, which makes it the best and worst sport in terms of mapping out projections. It's a friggin' crapshoot. So I think if you're a Bruins fan, you hope this team builds this identity, starts scoring a little bit more, gets into the playoffs, and then see what happens from there, because I couldn't tell you what to expect. And I think maybe it's better to go in with that mindset of this team at least feels like it's knows what it has to be, and then you let the roulette kind of roll once you get into the playoffs, if you get there. So and that's my approach right now, Evan.
No, and you're right. And don't give up your futures. That's the other thing.
Yes.
If you get into the playoffs, great, but don't do it by giving up a first for someone who's going to be gone. If you want to give up a first for like someone you could lock up long term, I don't know who that would be at the moment, but like
Alex Tuck.
Yeah, fine. Like, right? Like that. Okay, that makes sense. That works. But like, if it's a first for a rental, by God, please do not do that. Yeah. And I agree with you. It is a crapshoot. It's a complete crapshoot. Connor, what can the people look forward to from you at the Globe and Boston.com?
Yeah, we're going to have you covered every step of the way this Bruins season with recaps, features, columns, breakdowns, all that good stuff. So please read my stuff over at Boston.com and the Boston Globe. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, you can at Conor Ryan _93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. You Poke the Bear listeners. Have a great rest of your week.